that presentation about? It is about how to navigate your company, your business, any kind of business in general during the times of crises, any kind of crises. And why I'm telling about it is that because I'm from Ukraine, not sure if you see it, but here is the logo, an updated logo of our company. Yeah, and we had some quite tough times after the beginning of the war. And despite of that, we were able to continue our growth. We delivered every single thing that we promised to our customers. And the same thing actually happened when the COVID started. And that makes me believe that we have built the company in the very right way. And I just would like to share my experience. So usually I start with a question: do you have less than 100 employees in your business? And please send plus to the chat if that is the case. And then I tell, if that is the case, then crises are not about you. And the reason for me telling that, I'll tell you in a bit. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Nagatkin. I'm founder and CEO of the software development company called Digis. So what we do is basically a couple of things in this digital era. First of all, if you're running any software product and you're looking for an access to some external expertise, specific technologies, industries, that is something that we can assist you with in terms of outstaffing. So we can hire for you a dedicated team. We can provide you with separate specialists and stuff like that. And that would provide you like more flexibility and ability to quickly ramp up and ramp down your development team, and not only development, any technical specializations. On the other side, what we do is sophisticated software development that is an end-to-end process. So if you're looking to develop any kind of web, mobile application, any kind of platform, or solve any specific business task by automizing something or digitizing, that is something that we can do for you. So I will tell you more about our company in a bit, but with that company, I was honored to be listed in Forbes 30 Under 30 Europe Tech. And on the side of that, on a personal note, I do a lot of charity and investments and mentoring and stuff like that. And here on the bottom, you will see a QR to my Instagram, so feel free to ask any questions after our conference if we will not have enough time. So why am I telling that crises are not about you? Because if I would try to explain the story of our company, which is 8 years old already, in a couple of minutes, I would just tell that first we began as kind of a startup. So friends and family, all the young guys, and we didn't really know much about business. Indeed, we didn't know like anything. So we started, and somehow we started growing, and that growth continued up to around 50 people. And by that point, I was leading every single project by myself. I was selling, I was testing, I was coding, I was doing pretty much everything. And then I realized that for some reason, we stopped growing, and we would stay at the level of 50 to 60 people month by month. And I was pretty depressed about it, just because I have always been ambitious about the goals of our company to grow, to be thousands of people, to build like something significant. And that is why I have invested a lot of efforts and time into finding what was the cause of that. And then we started restructuring our company and almost rebuilding it. And yeah, those restructurings, they led us to the current state of 200 plus employees. And the thing is that those restructurings, they were conducted during the period of multiple crises, like the beginning of the COVID. The next thing that happened is, due to the increased demand in the IT sector, the salaries of IT specialists, they doubled like during only 3 months, and it was just crazy. For small and medium enterprises like ourselves, it was complicated to bear the period. And then the beginning of the war in Ukraine, of course, and my origins is Ukraine, and we've got still around 60% of our employees there. So a lot of guys that you are going to evacuate, they still need to work. Those blackouts, you need to provide them with an access to the office space. I don't know, even the simplest things like electricity and internet. Yeah, and despite of all of those things, we were able to continue our growth. And the second thing is that I think that every business on a high level is as simple as you've got 5 to 10 ways of how you produce your service or your product. You've got 5 to 10 ways of how you sell it, and actually a business model how you're going to match those two. And usually for small and medium enterprises, at least that is what I see from many companies that I consult, they found one way here and one way there, and they already make some money and they're fine with that. But when anything unexpected happens, like the COVID, like in the beginning of the war, they find themselves in a position when the old ways stop to work. But there is always another type of companies who on a constant basis analyze the market, analyze competitors, and try implementing new ways of producing like your service or to sell it. And if you will be able to find just a single new way of doing that, you will see your company growing on that scale up to 100 people, which is in our business. But in general, if we're speaking about small and medium enterprises, you will see that you're doubling, you're growing triple just because of your scale. So you're not that much affected, I would say, by the macroeconomy. So back then, 8 years ago, and even I would say 5 years ago, we were in a very strange position where we couldn't really understand how much we are going to earn by the end of the month. So really the way it worked was that by the end of the month, we would pay all of the salaries, we would pay for the rental, we would pay for everything, and then we would calculate the money that are left. And in this case, this is what we earned. If we don't have anything left, then we need to take the money out of our pocket and to pay actually the rest. And that was quite sad, just because back then, as I told, I was leading like around 30 projects, and it was damn crazy. So from the morning until the late night, I was managing them, and I could see that I'm putting a lot of effort, and I could see that I'm solving a lot of problems, but still we are not growing, we are not earning money, and that is a problem. And then I realized that there is a problem with our accounting and with our planning. Like we need to plan what we're going to earn at least during the next month, but potentially during the next year. And I invited a financial guy to build that system within our company, and it benefited us a lot. So first of all, if you started your business without any business background like I did back then, that is a very good way to start understanding better your business model. So where are you really making money? Out of which customers, out of which services, how to nail it down. And yeah, so you just collect the data for 6 months or so, you analyze it, and you see the main metrics of your business. Finally, you start understanding it, which is very good. The second thing is that I'm usually asking, like, do you usually measure yourselves, your business metrics, against the market benchmarks? And usually the answer is no, unfortunately. And I'm telling you that you should do that, like on a monthly basis at least, to understand how do you position in the market, how do you position your company, do you selling like at higher rates, at lower rates, what is the reason for that, what are the operational costs and stuff like that. And without the proper accounting, it would not be possible. And then the third thing, which I call just the magic of numbers. And what I mean by that is that for some reason, I don't know, wherever you, whenever you put like a very specific goal, so not like I would like to earn more money, but you are telling like we're going to increase the profit by 13% during the next quarter, for example. And for some reason, that works in a way that all of your team synchronizes and they start moving toward that goal. And since the very first financial plan that we have prepared, we've been matching all of them, which is just crazy. And here I mentioned IFRS financial accounting. So if you don't know where to start, just open IFRS, and this is some international financial regulations system, I guess. the meaning of that abbreviation, and start with those reports, like basic P&L and a couple of others. They will provide you with lots and lots of insights. And why that important is that if you don't know how to plan the future of your business, the simplest thing that you can do is actually take the data that you've got for the past year, for the past 6 months, and plan the same for the next year, and just adding, I don't know, like 5 to 10%, because you're developing your company, your processes, they become better and better. So that is how we did it back then, and it worked pretty well. And later on, you will have even more understanding of what is happening in the market. Yeah, and you will be able to plan better. And that is very important, to have the right accounting in place from the very beginning, just because it will allow you to sell your company better. So if you are going to approach any investors, or just to exit from your business at some point, you should have a proper accounting. Otherwise, the deal is going to be discounted. And yeah, I believe that you should always think about selling your business. And the reason for that is that I saw so many businesses where founders didn't think about that. So they knew they would like to start business, but they didn't see like the end goal, how they're going to exit it. And it at the end leads to a position where company is too much dependent on the founder, on the CEO. So it is not kind of independent, and that is a bad thing. And when you start doing this, you would also analyze the market, you would analyze the deals, your competitors, and you will see, for example, that this company was sold for a higher price than that one, and what was the reason. So and probably the reason was ABC, and that will give you even more insights. And what we are doing with you, if you're a founder of a business, is that especially during those crisis times, and by the way, we're now in what they call perma crisis. So we're looking for more insights and bottlenecks, of course. Now that we've got the right accounting in place and some ability to predict like at least the nearest future, I came to a conclusion back then that our company is lacking some strategic vision. So we were working month by month, solving some operational tasks, but we were not growing like in quality, I would say, in quality of our processes. And no one in the company understood back then like where I was heading. And that was a huge problem. I realized back then that we are not having the CEO in the company, but what we have is whatever needs to be done, guys. So if needs be, I can test the software, I can code software, I can sell it, I can, I don't know, speak to the current customers, stuff like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in this way. So if you like to build a proper company, you should have a proper CEO in place. And I believe that the CEO's role means two main functions, which is risk assessment and vision. So the risk assessment function means as simple as there should be a person in your company who thinks on a constant basis about what might go wrong. Just to give you an example. So as I mentioned, we started that restructuring process probably 3 months before the COVID. Sorry, need to take some coffee. It was a long day. So we started, and back then I realized that we've got a bottleneck, and it was that we've got only a single sales channel, the main one, and we've got a lot of short-term projects. And I realized that if for some reason that sales channel would stop working at some moment, then the company would literally disappear in 1 to 2 months. And that was a strategic risk for us. So what I told back then to our managers is like, guys, for now we need to stop growing that fast, but let's concentrate and invest more into opening new sales channels, because this is strategic for us. We need to diversify. And what happened next is actually the COVID started. So that main channel, it literally died. There were 0 deals for a couple of months. But at the same time, the new sales channels, they already started working, and we continued our growth. So while everyone else in the market for those couple of months was firing their best employees, we were able to hire them and like assemble a couple of very good teams. So that is what a nice CEO should do. Another thing is a visionary function. So I'm a huge fan of the idea that people, they do not work just to they do not want just to work. I mean, like hitting the keyboard. They want to have some big hairy goal, right? Like Elon Musk says. So what you should do is to provide them with that vision. What are you doing? For example, at Digis, we do two main things. The first one is we're growing the fastest growing company in the IT company in the CIS region. That is our story. And that is an ambitious goal, and it's ambitious in terms of the speed of the growth, and they like it. And the other one is we help Ukraine to win the war. So we're doing a lot of charity, we're doing a lot of volunteering, and they love that culture as well. And it is very important to myself. So at this point, we should have financial accounting and an ability to for some financial planning, as well as a proper CEO in place. And the next question would be like, it's very simple to tell that we should have a proper strategist in place, but how do you take yourself out of that operational involvement, right? And that's a big deal. So what I started doing back then was pretty simple. I just called our recruiter, our project manager and sales manager, and told them like, guys, from now on, you're going to be heads of your departments. So you're going to be responsible for the results. And back then, we didn't really know what kind of results, but we just needed to set up that kind of a structure so that they understand that they're responsible for some kind of metrics. That is the first thing. And then I told them, like, you're going to create those empty documents, Google Docs or whatever, and you're going to put there all the procedures that you're having right now. And every time that you're going to escalate any kind of issue to myself, and we're going to discuss it, you're going to add the following procedure into your document, like what we have discussed and what is the conclusion and how you need to act next time. And it was pretty good because before that point, they would not take responsibility. They would ask me to make all of the decisions, and it would be very complicated. And just because your focus of attention is being diversified, right, everywhere, and that is not the right thing to do. So everyone should understand their role and area of responsibility, and that should be fixed in writing. Then, as I mentioned, there were all of those cases when every minor issue would be escalated to myself, and people would not want to take responsibility. But the worst part in it is that when a similar issue would appear like in a week or so, they would still get back to me and ask me to make a decision, despite of that we discussed previously, like a very similar case. And this organizational structure is going to help you to solve that problem, but later on I will tell you how to solve it completely. And of course, that organizational structure is being developed as your company develops. So the larger you become, it is completely okay to change it. And of course, the main reason why you need it is that because we can scale only something systematic. We can scale a system. Do not scale chaos just because the universe does it for us already. And then I actually approached accidentally such a useful business tool that I like, that is called an organizational system according to Hubbard. And there's a funny thing, that is that this Hubbard, it came out that he was also a founder of a Scientology church, and I didn't know it back then. So what happened next is that during that significant growth, after the COVID, some media approached Digis to get our comments, like, and we made some articles why we continue to grow. And I have mentioned this organizational system by Hubbard. And then the Scientology Church approached myself to become their kind of ambassador for promoting Hubbard. But that is not what I'm doing here. Really, you will see that this is very useful. And if I would shorten my presentation only to a single slide, probably I would keep that one. So what you see here is an organizational chart And it says it consists of 7 departments mainly, which are HR, recruitment, marketing, delivery, quality assurance, something else. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that this organizational chart is applicable for a business of any size and any industry, like for a restaurant, for a barbershop, I don't know, for Tesla, for Google, for everyone. It always pretty much the same. And when I saw it back then, I realized that this is something that I was heading towards, but I was trying to make it by myself. And it was a pretty nice insight, I would say, just because what I did afterwards is that I tried to apply the chart to our current business. And actually what I got out of that were tons of different insights. For example, one person holds too many roles within our company. Like, for example, owner and director and deputy of this and that are the roles, and supervisors are the roles. And I could see that a single person would hold multiple roles. And that most probably was the reason why certain departments would not grow. At the same time, I could see, for example, that we are missing some of the departments. And then I would ask myself why that. It is the right moment to actually start working with those departments, because most probably we need them. Do our competitors have those departments? So questions like that. And I'm strongly advising you after today's conference to try that exercise if you're running a business on your own. Yeah, is extremely useful. Now we've got an ability for financial planning, we got a proper CEO, we've got an organizational chart, but then I came to a point that I couldn't really understand why should my employees, my colleagues want to grow the business instead of me. So are they going to work that hard, at least half as hard as I would do, just because that is my company? I love it. I have created it. I know that if any issue appears, I would solve it like until the very end of it. I would work at night if need be, but would they do the same? So I started working on the new motivational system within our company. And actually it consists of 2 main parts, which are a material motivation and non-material. So to build the proper material motivation, you would need to introduce the system of KPIs. So you would need to determine all the KPIs for all of the key roles. And back then, I actually didn't know how to do that. And those consultants charge like tens of thousands of dollars for implementing the same system. And now I'm going to give you a clue how to make it much simpler and cheaper. So actually it's all about having the right tools in place. And those tools are your financial plan and your organizational chart. And then what you're going to do is actually to apply your financial plan to your organizational chart from top to bottom. So let me give you an example. Let's say our company sells books, and we know that we're going to make a profit of, I don't know, 1,000 USD during the next year. And of course, in that plan, we're going to have the revenue and all of the costs. So we know that, for example, we need to generate a revenue of 10,000, and that becomes the main KPI of our sales director. So he needs to make all of those sales for 10K. Then in his department, there are 2 sales managers, which means each of them should make deals worth 5K. Then we know, according to our statistics, that we convert only 1 out of which, I don't know, 5 leads. In this case, our marketing director needs to generate that amount of leads. Our delivery needs to make this and that. So it's really that simple, at least for the simplest setup. But it will already provide you so much transparency on what is going on. And the most important thing is that it is going to provide your employees even more feeling of their responsibilities. And yeah, on top of those KPIs, you're going to build a bonuses system. So if you perform well, if you reach your KPIs, you're going to get a bonus. And if you're overperforming, that is the profit that we were not expecting, and we're going to share with you even more, which is completely okay. And in this way, you make them not really your employees, but kind of partners for the specific directions of your company, which is quite good. In this way, they always will be interested to develop their area. And that is what we saw at Digis. So here I mentioned a couple of points, and the first one is your statistics and market statistics. What I mean by that is that, of course, if right now your employees, they work on a salary basis and they do not receive bonuses, they will not be satisfied with that idea, like from now on, I'm going to pay you only 60% of your salary, base salary, and the rest as bonuses. So most probably they will be pretty disappointed by that. And we need motivated employees, right? So what we did back then is that we already understood our statistics at first place. So we would approach someone and tell, for example, John, we're going to implement this system, but see, those metrics are the one that you have already reached during the last year. So nothing really changes for you. And we just need to make the same during this year. And that would already allow us to have the right system in place. And during the next year after that one, we're going to actually increase that KPI, but everyone is already used to that concept. On the other side, if you analyze the market, if you understand where you're standing, you would understand the market benchmarks. You would just tell, like, see, there are a lot of companies and our competitors, they ask their sales managers, for example, to do X, Y, Z. And we're asking to do like 20% less, and it is just that simple. I would say it's hard to negotiate in this case. The second point is the gamification element, which is quite of a useful tool. I would say even extremely useful, especially for solving those challenging tasks that you cannot solve right now for some reason. And for that, you're going to need that KPI system in place. But that is a separate topic, so I would like just to mention it. Yeah, and in that case about escalating every minor issue to the C-level, KPIs are going to solve that, just because people are going to understand that if they are not reaching their goals, they're not receiving those bonuses, and they're going to become more proactive, I would say. They're going to start solving all of those problems with each other rather than escalating, which is quite important. And the second part is non-material motivation, intangible motivation, which is about the vision, about having the clear goals. Yeah, so give them a goal and people would appreciate it. You should be like the Jesus Christ of your company, so you should tell everyone what is the goal, why that, what are your values, and you should do that on a constant basis during every dialogue, just because this is a long-term play. Yeah. So those are the 4 key components for the right company. So again, financial planning, proper CEO, organizational chart, which is clear and transparent for everyone, and the right motivational system based on KPIs. And then, of course, you would face such a situation when you would try to get back to your company and start implementing some of those things, and some of the employees, they would not be excited about it, and they will start telling like, oh, that is never going to work, oh, it works for big companies and we're not at that level yet, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you know those employees by yourself. Unfortunately, all of us have them. And I tried for multiple years to find some ways to work with them, and it didn't work well, just because they stayed disappointed. They would, the whole team would stay disappointed, and myself as well, just because they do not perform. So what you should do is actually, that is only a suggestion, is to fire those people. If you see that the company is going to move into a different direction and they are not accepting it, then do not hold them. And you should really concentrate on motivating those people who are already motivated. And that is what pays off. Yeah, and back then I was dreaming about that perfect company culture that develops rapidly, that everyone is proactive, and here are uh, some things that I realized during that path. So first of all, that company culture, it only appears only when all of those procedures are established at the company. And in this case, you can just see it around in the way people are interacting, and you just need to put it on the paper, as simple as that. The second thing is that, unfortunately, without all of those procedures and tools that we have discussed, this company culture is not going to appear. Even if you're going to make all of those team buildings, approach conferences, I don't know, travel together, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. Of course, that company culture should be encouraged. If you see anything that that is aligned with your vision, make everyone know about it. Like, make a general announcement that this guy, John, he made something great last month. We're very proud of it, and here is what he gets. Just because everyone needs to understand that new direction your company is moving, and they need to get all of those. Yeah, they need to get all of those proofs that you're serious about it. And yeah, after building that culture, finally, I was able to calm down a little bit and became sure that our company would continue growing, even if I'm not 100% involved, even if I'm not handling every other procedure. So I was able actually to delegate most part of my operational involvement. And the last thing for today is that don't be afraid to stop. What I mean by that is that sometimes you actually start to grow too fast. And from our experience, there was a period when we started hiring too many people, getting too many projects. And back then, I was asking myself, like, what is the chance that some of those projects are not up to our level? What is the chance that, given the scale of all of those hirings, we're not interviewing people well enough up to our standards? And back then, I answered myself that most probably this is the case. And I considered all of those as risks that sooner or later, but they will play. And I realized that the right thing to do was to slow down and actually to start building the right basis for our company, like getting the customers up to our expectations, and getting the people, like the most talented people who will work for us for long years. And that worked pretty well. And that is something that I can tell you after 8 years in this company. Yeah, and here I've got some cases, but really today there is not enough time for that. So we'll start here. This is an approach which we call smart outsourcing automation paradigm, or in simple SOAP. This is an approach to managing IT projects and IT companies that we have patented. It works out pretty well. So smart outsourcing idea is rather simple. If you have heard about smart money, this is an investment model when investor puts not only cash into the company, but also his expertise in the field, his experience. And that is something that we do for our customers. So we do not only develop their software, but we provide them an access to our expertise in developing hundreds of similar projects. So we get deep into their business, into their business goals, and we do everything possible to align the development with their business plan. That's the first part. The second one is about automation paradigm. So we try in our company to automate as much things as possible in recruiting, in sales, in marketing, in delivery, and that ends up in much lower operational costs, again, comparatively to the market benchmarks. And in the end, we're able to provide like better costs. The idea is as simple.